Hi, welcome to Wellness for Realists, where we help you improve your life. I'm your host, Christian Cristiano. Naturopathic medicine is a holistic approach to health-based medicine based on the belief that the body can heal itself naturally. Have you been looking for a more natural approach to your health concerns? Are you taking prescription drugs but are concerned about the side effects or long-term effects? How about vitamins and minerals? These days, it is extremely challenging to keep up with pharmaceuticals and supplements, or to even know if we need them. Or maybe you've been dealing with unusual symptoms that the MDs can't help you with. Many people turn to naturopathic medicine for these and other challenges. And today, you will learn exactly what an ND or naturopathic doctor is and how one can help you. Naturopathic medicine has been garnering more and more attention by people all over the world because it helps you find and treat the root cause of your health issues and not just the symptoms. Very often, pharmaceuticals treat only the symptoms of disease without addressing the root cause. And with 65% of the American population on meds, NDs are needed now more than ever to treat those more subtle conditions that the mainstream medical world can't seem to figure out. Through diet, herbs, homeopathy, and exercise, NDs are often able to treat the more mysterious ailments people tend to get. NDs also may succeed at preventing disease, improving health, and treating illness. They do this by promoting a healthy, balanced lifestyle and by using herbs. It is possible to maintain and restore your health by creating a healthy environment inside and outside the body so the physical body can heal itself. While we are all too familiar with what MDs do, there is still some confusion as to what exactly a naturopathic doctor is. Let's get a clear understanding of what naturopathy is and how it can apply to you. Naturopathic medicine has roots that go back 2,400 years to Greek philosopher Socrates, who first came up with the concept of the healing power of nature. Modern-day naturopathy was founded by Dr. Benedict Lust in the first decade of the 20th century. A licensed naturopathic physician, or ND, attends a 4-year graduate-level naturopathic medical school and is educated in all the same basic sciences as an MD, but also holistic and non-toxic approaches like clinical nutrition, homeopathic medicine, botanical medicine, psychology and counseling, with a strong emphasis on disease prevention and optimizing wellness. What many people don't know about NDs is that they are also licensed to apply complementary medicine, such as Ayurveda, homeopathy, and herbal therapies. Through this holistic, proactive approach to medicine, NDs are able to consider the whole person and assist in prevention and comprehensive diagnosis and treatment. In 2009, Americans consumed $300 billion worth of pharmaceutical drugs, and 40% of all drugs made worldwide were consumed right here in the USA. To put that into perspective, the United States makes up about 5% of the world's total population, yet we consume 40% of all drugs made worldwide. The problem with this is very often these drugs only treat the symptoms and do not actually treat the root of the problem. This is one of the numerous places naturopathy is succeeding in filling a need. Your ND can prescribe herbs that will help you wean you off the harsher Western drugs when appropriate. Next, we have vitamins and supplements. Which ones do we take anyway? Are multis good for us, or are we supposed to get all of our micronutrients from food? Due to so many reductive studies out today, it is almost impossible to know what vitamins and supplements we need, if any. And consider that the same industry that produces the vitamins are often the ones putting out the studies. The vitamin industry pulled in roughly $13 billion in 2013, and most experts predict that number will only increase. With that kind of profit driving vitamin production, you are much better off getting your advice in that arena from an outside source like an ND. When you hear the word naturopathic doctor, what does that mean to you? Have you ever seen one? And do you have any symptoms that might be treated with naturopathic medicine? Today is your lucky day, as you will get answers from the talented, well-known, and published naturopathic Dr. Holly Lucille. Today, we are honored to have with us in the studio best-selling author and frequent visitor to Dr. Oz and the Doctors. A warm welcome to Dr. Holly Lucille. Dr. Holly, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on in and share your expertise and your experience with us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Yeah.
To start out, could you tell us maybe about a patient that is trying to get off of prescription medication but they're not exactly sure how to go about that?
Sure. So one of the things that I do, so if somebody's on prescription medications, right? First of all, I want to figure out why. Like, why was it prescribed in the first place? Because then I want to figure out, secondly, did it help when they took it? Because if you know why it was prescribed in the first place, if it helped, and then you understand the mechanism of action of that particular medication, you can understand perhaps maybe where are there some other contributing factors that led to whatever they were prescribed for. So there's got to be an exit strategy, because if somebody wants to get off their medication, for the most part, you want to be able to create that exit strategy by making sure that you sort of fix the contributing factors.
Got it. So you're going to go back to when they first started taking the medication.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
And see why they started in the first place, right?
Sure. So let's say, for example, if you're on an antidepressant, and I get that commonly,
Great example.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you want to get off of it. What were you prescribed? We know the mechanism of action, usually serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right? So I go back and I want to ask about their diet, their history. I'm going to get all into that, because a lot of times you cannot utilize serotonin that you're not making. Sometimes poor diet leads to inefficient serotonin. A lot of serotonin is made in the gut, so if there's any gut disturbances, we need to fix those. When we identify and treat the cause, right?
Yes.
We can create that exit strategy. So basically, build from the ground up with things that perhaps weren't repleting nutrients, cleaning up the diet, et cetera,
Sure.
and then pulling off the medication. That's usually how it works.
Got it. Okay. And then would you wean them off the medication usually, or does that depend on the patient?
It depends on the patient. It also depends on the scope of practice for each and every state, because you can't really take somebody off medication that you haven't prescribed, or you don't have the ability to prescribe. So you work closely with the patient, advocate that they work closely with their prescribing doctor, and we create a team that way.
Got it. Did you ever work with their doctors also?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Open lines of communication. If they're open to that. If not, we just do a lot of great work with the patient.
Got it.
Feed them with vocabulary and advocate that they actually advocate for themselves.
Excellent. So a lot of education involved in what
Absolutely.
you do. Very, very good. And what about those patients out there that might be worried about overdoing it with vitamins and supplements? I hear about people who have, 30 bottles of things they take every morning.
Yes.
And some of them aren't sure if they even need those supplements. What do you tell them?
All right. When it comes to supplementation, I want to make sure that it's targeted, and that it's a lot of times supplements are dose dependent. That means that just because a popular doctor on daytime television has dropped a certain supplement, it doesn't mean that you run out and get it. It's really important. Why are you supplementing? What's the rationale for that individual? That's extremely important. So a lot of times when people come in, I'll have them bring all of their supplements, and I'll ask, how long have you been taking it? At what dose? What's the brand? And why are you taking it?
Okay.
If they don't know why they're taking it, they're like, I don't know. I heard somebody said this. I heard it was good for me. Then we get very specific. And so to answer your question, I really think it's important that folks get some help and partner with somebody like you, like me, that can really take them through their supplement regime and make sure that it's targeted for them, it's specific for them, and it's dose dependent in doing the job.
Okay, great, great. And could you possibly share a story, think about a patient or two that you've had that is a success story, so to speak. They came to you feeling a certain way.
How much time do we have? I mean, are you kidding?
I know you're excellent at what you do.
No, I'm just
but let's just, just one or two of success stories of patients that struggled in the kind of primary Western medical model, and they found you, and you really helped them to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's great because I actually saw patients today. And so one gentleman in particular, so he was on a proton pump inhibitor, Prevacid or the Nexium, or those are the purple pill or what. They suppress acid for the most part, right? Because a lot of times people start to get that feeling of food coming back up or acid coming back up, and they're put on these medications. Now, you need stomach acid to absorb nutrients. You need stomach acid to break down proteins. So suppressing it causes long-term use of these, suppressing it causes a slippery slope for gallbladder disease, osteoporosis, you name it. So what happened with him is we actually discovered in the process that he didn't have hyperacidity, he was achlorhydric or hypochlorhydric. He had low acid, and this is the case in a lot of different people. Here's what happens. When you have low acid, you have a hard time digesting your food. When you don't digest your food very well, gas bloating, the acid that is there gets pushed up, it starts to irritate the esophageal lining. You start to feel that sort of sensation that shouldn't be there. And so we actually got him off his Prevacid. We actually have him taking betaine HCl. So we're supplementing with hydrochloric acid. His digestion is better. He doesn't have to be on a long-term medication that's going to cause devastating side effects, and he's a happy camper.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And if you would be willing to describe what our patients would expect if they come in to see you. So maybe a typical protocol that they would experience, how many appointments do they need?
Yeah.
Those kind of details.
Sure. So I always say I don't have any protocols. I call them wake-up calls, because I say too, I can't work without anybody else in front of me, right? Everybody is individual. Everybody brings their individual story, the influencing factors to why they're presenting clinically, and it's so important to get that story. And for the most part, I also tell people I try to get them not to need me. So that's my job.
I love it.
And quite honestly, a good first initial visit, a solid follow-up, and that's the average visit.
Wow.
I try to get people to take back power over their health and not need me.
Excellent. That is the whole purpose of our show, so I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
That's great. So we do have a couple questions from our audience. We have Miguel from Los Angeles who contacted us via Facebook. Excuse me, his questions were, are there any instances where naturopathic medicine is not a substitute for Western medicine or vice versa?
Absolutely. I think there's value in all systems of medicine. So there's a place for everything, conventional Western medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, naturopathic medicine, and certainly you need to understand your scope of practice. And I'll give you an example. There was a time when somebody came in with such low hemoglobin, there was no way that I was going to supplement her out or I needed her to have a blood transfusion straight away. I got a hold of a doctor that had hospital privileges, and within a half an hour, she was at Cedars-Sinai. That was outside my scope of practice. We can understand later, after that's over, perhaps what contributed to that low level. But at that point in time, you really need to understand the scope of practice. That's the biggest thing.
Got it. Great. Very helpful. We have another question here. Breatha Christian from San Diego, also via Facebook. She asks, is naturopathic medicine good for everyone, or do certain people benefit more than others from it?
I actually think, and I say this with
objectivity?
In a humble, I think it would be great for everybody, because here's some principles. Identify and treat the cause. Treat the whole person. Prevention is the cure. Doctor is teacher. So no matter what you're going through, those simple things, when you use the least invasive methods, so dietary interventions, lifestyle interventions, do no harm first. I think that anybody with a healthcare desire can get a much more comprehensive, commonsensical approach that might be a little bit more helpful than just the reductionistic approach. And that's the big difference. It's more vitalistic than reductionistic for the most part. So I think everybody would benefit from seeing a naturopathic doctor.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for coming in today.
Yeah,
it was a
my
real
pleasure.
honor and a privilege to host you here.
Thank you.
Please tell our audience how they can find you.
Sure. So it's just my website. It's drhollylucille.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What we want for all of you is to take charge of your health. How many of you are taking Western drugs prescribed by your doctors that you know little or nothing about? My challenge to you is to go to your medicine cabinet and pull out your drugs and start to do searches online about them. You may be surprised about what you find. I'm not telling you to stop taking your drugs. I'm simply challenging you to be your own primary care provider by researching what you are taking and therefore becoming more informed. If the information you find inspires you to go further, it may be time for you to see a naturopathic doctor to at least get a second opinion about your meds and your health in general. Too many patients simply do as they are told without having a clue as to what they are putting in their bodies. These days, due to an overburdened system, the Western MDs often simply don't have the time to spend with you or to thoroughly go through all of your drugs and your lifestyle habits. Take charge of your health starting today, and if we can assist you or direct you in any way, please don't hesitate to contact us here. For more Wellness for Realists, be sure to subscribe to us at emPOWERme.tv. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and you can find me at acupuncturebychristian.com.